Hey friends, what's up? Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're doing well. What do you say we talk about one of the most hyped TikTok clones out there? Or at least for a time it was. It was being talked about by literally everybody that it was sent to. I actually had to pre-order mine through Beauty House, so that's where I picked mine up. I had to just, place the order and just kind of sit there and wait. But it finally arrived. Khadlaj Island Extrait Parfum, which is a clone of this one, Beau Le Parfum. The question, as always, is it a good clone or alternative of Beau Le Parfum? Because there are a bunch of them out there, and a bunch of them kind of suck. For example, fragrances like Glacier Bold or Tribal Intense, they get part of the way there, but they're not really a great full-on alternative. And with the amount of hype behind this one, I had to check it out and see what the deal is. I'll have that one linked in the description. Feel free to check it out down there if you're interested. And the reason that this one is in so much demand is because it's just a compliment monster. Very versatile, easy to wear, great performance. And I would know this was my most complimented fragrance of last year, and it's done pretty good this year so far too. But it's been very difficult in the US to scoop this one up. Thankfully, that has changed for the most part. You can buy this directly from a bunch of different retailers nowadays. You can buy it directly from Jean Paul Gaultier themselves in the US. So it's no longer how it used to be, which was basically hope that it's in stock somewhere and then they're not gonna just absolutely annihilate you in terms of pricing. Couldn't get that out. Sometimes it's words, it's hard to make words. But yeah, it was difficult to get this one. And even today, there are still some discounters that will charge you more than retail for this, even though you can buy it directly from the brand now. I don't think they got the memo. And even on the low end right now for 75 ml size bottle, not this larger size bottle, it's gonna be about 80 bucks when discounters have it in stock. At least the discounters that aren't trying to charge too much. And this one is about 40 bucks. And obviously it's a little bit bigger than 75 mils. So, if it works out really well, it can be pretty attractive. Let's go ahead and start off by taking a look at the presentation of this one, and we'll start doing a little comparison here between the two. Here we've got the front of the box. You have the name of the fragrance, name of the house, and the concentration. As I said before, Extrait de Parfum. Has kind of a textured feel to the box, looks pretty nice. On one side, you just have the design that wraps over. And on the other side, you have your sticker of authenticity. And something a little odd with this one, it says scratch me underneath here, which I don't think I've ever seen. And I gave it a little scratch with my nail, and it looks like maybe it would flake off, but I'm not exactly sure. I was kind of a moron for a second there. And I was like, is this scratch and sniff? So I scratched it and I was like, oh no, I'm just sniffing the sticker of authenticity, okay. I'll show you. So here's your sticker, and right there just says scratch me. I don't know if you can make that out, but very odd. I guess I should scratch that off and see what's there. What is the secret? What secrets do you hold, Khadlaj? On the back, you have the note breakdown, which is note for note the exact same as this one, so they're not exactly trying to hide it. Top of pineapple, iris, ginger, and cypress. Mid of coconut and woodsy notes. Base of amber, ambergris, tonka, and sandalwood. You have the name of the house on top of the box, and on the bottom you have a lot of information, including your ingredients and your batch code and another QR code. And here we have the bottle. You have there on the front, on that little plaque, the name of the fragrance, the name of the house. You have a similar gradient to the Le Beau bottle, though this one is greener than the Jean Paul Gaultier. It still does give across familiar vibes, at least in terms of the color scheme. Obviously, the bottle does not. It's got a little bumpy pattern to it. On top of the cap, you have the name of the house. The cap slides into place. It does not click into place, but it's pretty snug. You can pick it up from the cap, but I wouldn't randomly shake the bottle like I'm doing. But if you just pick it up, it should be okay. And then on the bottom, you have a sticker with the concentration, once again, Extrait de Parfum. What do you say we share a couple sprays? Here we go. Check out the atomizer. Ooh, nice. Pressurized atomizer, always like those. And let's go ahead and spray out the JPG as well. Okay. First spray just went that direction. Before we jump into the fragrance, guys, here are a bunch of codes that you can use to save money across multiple websites. The JOMASHOP codes only work in the JOMASHOP app, and then the Max Aroma codes changed as well, so be aware of those. I don't have a code for Beauty House, but you can find this fragrance also on Amazon in case you want to shop there, talking about that one right there. So let's jump into how this smells versus Le Beau Le Parfum. The first question everybody is gonna have, is it a good alternative? Is it better than those other ones that are available that maybe are not very impressive when you consider how good cologne fragrances have gotten lately? The answer, if you just dumb it down, keep it really simple, yes. Actually, this is a really well done cologne. Is it exactly the same? It is not, and we'll get into that. But do understand that when I point out the differences, it's a little bit of splitting hairs. You know, it's nitpicking a little bit. This isn't massively different, but there are differences. And if you don't have these to smell side by side, or you haven't smelled this one in a while, for all intents and purposes, this is gonna do the same job as the Jean Paul Gaultier. It's gonna smell really, really similar. So do be aware of that. This is one of those things where, like a lot of clones here lately, if you wanna pick up the differences, you're gonna be better suited having this, you know, over here and this over here, and just go back and forth and pick out the differences that way, which is not really realistic when it comes to how people wear fragrances, smell fragrances, interact with fragrances. So yeah, that's how it's gonna be in the air for most people. It's gonna do the same job, and it's not really gonna matter as far as those differences are concerned. But let's jump into the differences. When you first spray this one on, it is a little bit zingier than Le Beau Le Parfum. So Le Beau Le Parfum is gonna come across definitely creamier when compared to this one. So that rich, creamy sweetness Le Beau Le Parfum has, Island does not quite capture that. It's brighter, zingier, maybe a little fresher as well, talking about Island. That ginger note that's in here is gonna be pumped up a little bit in comparison to the Jean Paul Gaultier, whereas the iris and the pineapple as well is a little bit more prominent here. And the way that sweetness comes across in the opening in both of these fragrances is different as well. So it's gonna be a little bit denser, a little bit richer in Le Beau Le Parfum. In Island, it's a little more high tinged. It's not as heavy the way that that sweetness comes across. Like I said, a little bit brighter, a little bit fresher. That's how it comes across here. So while this one has the creamy kind of rich sweetness, that combination of pineapple, coconut coming together in the opening with iris right there alongside with those notes, Island is a little bit more sugary in terms of how the sweetness comes across. Like I said, a little more high tinged with that sweetness. And it's like pineapple mixed more with ginger, not as much of the iris, and a lesser amount of coconut in this one when you first pick that up, when you have that sweetness really kicking. That being said, the sweetness here smells great. That opening, really appealing, really attention grabbing. It's just approached in a different way, utilizing the same notes with the same overall general structure, just with the amounts tweaked, so it comes across a little bit differently than this one does. So a little more sugary, a little bit fresher, a little bit brighter, a little bit zingier here, creamier, richer, deeper, a little bolder, I would say, here. Cut from the same cloth, smell very similar in the air, but those differences are noticeable. As it dries down, the woodiness is also different. In Island, it comes across more ambroxany. It comes across more of that, you know, modern, clean, woody kind of style. Whereas in Le Beau Le Parfum, the woodiness has a little more body to it. It almost has that smidge of like spiciness that you can sometimes pull out of woody notes. And I'm not saying that this is a spicy fragrance, right? It's not. It's just when you hit that dry down, the way the sandalwood comes across, again, it's gonna be creamier still than Island. And it has that richness to the woodiness, which I'm actually wearing it here. And then I have Island over here. I've been comparing them today. And you just can pick out that aspect that smells like bits of actual wood in Le Beau Le Parfum in the far dry down. In Island, it maintains more of that fuzzy ambroxany kind of feel to it. But these differences are really, again, only going to pop out when you smell them side by side up close. In the air, really, really similar. The coconut also is a little bit more prominent for me in Le Beau Le Parfum than Island. And that's not to say you get none of it in Island. You do. It's just you get a little more here. Now, at the end of the day, those differences are there and you can pick them up if you contrast and compare side by side, but they're minor. And when you compare Island to the other Le Beau Le Parfum clones out there, at least the ones that I own, it crushes them. And going back to Glacier Bold, because this is probably at this point the most well-known Le Beau Le Parfum alternative, I think that Island is better in pretty much every facet to this. Island lasts a bit longer than Glacier Bold. I mean, it is an extrait de parfum, so you would expect that. And I will say it's not like a monster extrait de parfum. This is not something that's gonna last 24 plus hours, nothing like that. But can it hang with Le Beau Le Parfum in terms of performance? It can. And this is a strong fragrance, so that works for me. So this one, it outperforms Glacier Bold. In terms of quality, I think Island is better than Glacier Bold. When you spray this on, as I did just a couple seconds ago and I'm doing again, you can go in right away and it smells nice. Whereas Glacier Bold, you spray that one on, and when you go in, it's got that alcohol kind of vibe when you first spray it. One of those ones you need to let settle for a second. So it outperforms Glacier Bold, both in terms of projection and longevity. It smells nicer right off the rip, the quality a bit higher. I think that it's closer to Le Beau Le Parfum overall, and the price difference, it's really not that big. I paid, I think it was after shipping, like $47 for this one, 46 and some change. On Amazon, maybe you could get it a little bit less, and as it pops up at other discounters, I would expect the price to drop. And I think that's the one place Glacier Bold can beat Island, is when you can find this one in stock. You can find it sometimes for like 21, 22 bucks, at least on Fragrance Buy. On Amazon right now, it's 29. Other places I've seen charging up to like 49. So really with this one truly depends on where you're shopping. But if you can get this for 20, that's half the price of Island. And at that point, it may make more sense to go ahead and pick this one up. But if it's close, you know, if it's 35 bucks, 40 bucks, something like that for this one, I think you just don't even consider this at this point, and you scoop that one up. Although this does lean, as I said a couple times talking about the smell, a little bit fresher than Le Beau Le Parfum. So that could actually work in your benefit if you're one of the people who thinks this is just too much for a summertime fragrance. For me, actually, I like this in spring and fall, not really in summer. I'd go Paradise Garden or Le Beau Eau de Toilette for that one, but still, if you're somebody who would like a little fresher twist on Le Beau Le Parfum, which again is sounding a lot like Le Beau Eau de Toilette, if you would like that, that's what this does really well. So this is one of those times where you see a lot of hype about it, where, you know, the fragrance was sent out and you know how it goes, but it is actually a really solid fragrance, really well done. And I like it a lot. I like it a whole lot. So in that hierarchy of Le Beau Le Parfum alternatives, Khadlaj right now has the best one, which I guess, to be fair, shouldn't be a huge surprise because they do have the best Reflection Man clone, for what that's worth, with Shiaka Silver, which has a hideous looking bottle, but the fragrance itself is fantastic. So I'll keep my eyes open on Khadlaj, see what else they have popping out. As for now, that will do it for me. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.